Hello YouTube, I'm Elwirfy and today we're going to be back into Warhammer. You know why? Because 8th edition has just dropped. That's right, so all these units just completely changed. They're all different, and I wanted to talk about that and kind of what that means for not only the army but also just kind of the rules of how to play 8th edition. I'm actually going to be teaching you guys how to play, for those of you who don't know, but granted, keep in mind, since I'm only in possession of Blood Angels, it will just be Marines versus Marines for the sake of instructional purposes. Of course, every unit now has been changed so that way they have their own stats. So because of that, that's going to change up the different interactions between units. But in general, the rules will actually stay the same for most of them. I'm going to list a couple of major things that happened that I feel are the most important, that are army specific. Again, this is not general rules, but just certain things that are army specific that I think need to be addressed right away and will probably be touched on later on during this video. First off, I found out that these, maybe this is an older, maybe they kept this, but these groups of 10 Death Company can actually be taken in groups of 15. So that means we can technically have 2 squads of Death Company instead of 3, thereby freeing up more space, essentially, for us to take more guys on the battlefield. Second, the Terminators, right here, and I guess I've put names on all of them. All my Marines have names now. These guys now have 2 wounds, making them a bit more viable in combat. These guys, there's no more templates in the game, which is very important. It's obviously not going to be shown on the data sheets, but so that means these guys will just be, single targeting, and I'll explain how flamers work later on. So that means pretty much actually my flamethrowers got more powerful, technically. So totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. Whereas at the same time, these Vindicators are technically less powerful. Not completely less powerful, but you'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. Drop pods got neutered in the sense that they got more points. It's harder to take drop pods, but there's new rules about coming into battle. So that's all that I really think I need to say with regards to. Oh, and that got cheaper. Yeah, most of my stuff actually got cheaper, points wise, not battle points wise. There's a difference. Anyway, guys, I think that should be everything. So let's go ahead and get into teaching the game from 8th edition's perspective. Hello YouTube, I'm Elwirfy, and I've been doing some thinking actually. So 8th edition just came out, right? So, all of our units, our classic units that we all know and love, have gone through some changes recently, and I figured I should talk about those, and I'll get to them as they come up. But for now, I wanted to actually get into just teaching how to play the game. So here's our test scenario right here, and I've got data. I have the sheets for how to do it. So we're going to go through phase by phase of the game with all the kinds of units and just talk about how they operate and function. I'll be using this Tactical Marine Squad for most of my guinea pig stuff, but in order to differentiate between units, I actually have included the Death Company here to help us out with that. So first off, I did want to just get into the movement phase. Now, how does movement work? Well, you're going to come over to your sheet, and even though this is a Death Company Marine, regular Tactical Marines have the same one. I just don't feel like, splitting up, flipping back and forth through the pages. So they have 6 movement. I just know this. Tactical Marines have 6 movement. How does that work? Well, it's really simple. This is the easiest part of the movement phase. So say, for whatever reason, our Marines, I'm going to do both examples. Say for whatever reason, Marines want to move closer. They can move 6 inches. Well, you go from the front of the base, right? And then you want to move the front of the base up to the 6 inches. Now you'll notice, this 6 inches is not, is within another model. Units must always maintain at least a 1-inch gap between models. So that means that if the Death Company was right here at the 6-inch, it's not going to be perfect, then this Space Marine must stay at least more than 1 inch away. So 1.5 inches is fine. That means they're not engaged in close combat. Now, if they were further back, they could easily move their full range of 6 inches. For this demonstration, we're going to assume that these guys actually want to escape. They want to get away from these Death Company, as they would, because they're shooting units. So we're going to take our Space Marines We're actually going to pull them back, all of them, because I really want to just get away from these guys. I mean, these Space Marines would not at all have any interest in being anywhere near the Death Company, which makes sense. They're not going to want to come after them. So they fall back. That's their movement. And then let's again, for demonstration purposes, let's go ahead and assume that these guys will also move, because jump packs can move 12. I'm covering the phases, not the order of turns, so I'm going to skip some turn orders. You know what, on second thought, okay, let's just assume that they move. Alright? So that is the end of the movement phase. And I'm skipping over the psychic phase because I don't have psychers, and I honestly don't know how they work. So, when I figure that out, I will let you know. Probably, possibly in this video, maybe some other time. We'll see how it goes. So that's the end of the movement phase. So in the next phase of the game, the shooting phase, we're assuming this is this side's turn. So the way it works is you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna grab this stat sheet. Now once again, well, you know what? I'll quickly flip over to the here. Let me flip through to the tactical squad, just so you guys can see the tactical marine stuff. So let's take a look. So they move their 6 inches, and now they have a ballistic skill of 3+. That's what they're using to hit with. There's 2 phases of the shooting phase. There's the hit, you got to see if you hit your unit, and then you see if you wound them. Because, you could, like, hit their armor, but the bullet could still bounce off. You got to see if you got a good, good precise shot. So how do you determine this? Well, you take a look at what they're firing. So we're going to be using bolt guns at 24 inches. Rapid fire means that you take their range, cut it in half, and then you add an additional die. So, well, you double the number here. That's a better way to think about it. You double this number. So, you're going to go ahead, and we're going to roll it. So, how many bolters do we have here? Well, let's take a look. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the back row. And then we have 6 and 7. So we have a total of 7 bolters. So we're going to grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7 for our bolters, but hold on. As you'll notice, from this to this is within 12 inches. So therefore these guys will actually be firing an additional 7 dice, as I've already pre-planned. So how do you know if you're going to hit them? Well, you're going to look at their You're going to look at their ballistic skill. The ballistic skill of a tactical squad marine is 3 or up. So when we roll these dice, we're looking for 3s or higher. So let's go ahead and actually roll them over here, just so that way the dice don't mess up the measurements of the marines. And let's roll them. I'll go ahead and gather those for you. And so once again, this is without modifiers. There are some units that might modify ballistic skill, make them hard to hit, etc. So we're not going to worry too much about that. So we need 3 or higher in order to get successful hits on our target. This was a pretty good roll. We got a fair amount. Let me count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, this is included. Okay, so this is our number of hits. Now we got to go on to wounds. Well, how do you know if you wound someone? Well, what you do is you go here and you look at the strength of the weapon, and then you look at the toughness of your opponent. Now, the Death Company, I'm going to go ahead and once again, I'm going to shift over for the sake of reference. So the Death Company Marine have a toughness of 4. The strength of my bolt gun is 4. So that means they're even, which means when toughness and strength are equal, you're going to be wounding the opponent on a 4 or higher. If the strength of a unit is actually higher than the toughness, you're hitting on a 5 or higher. You're hitting on a 3 or higher. Now, if your strength is double or more than the toughness of a unit, you're going to be hitting on a 2 or higher. And, of course, if your strength is less than the toughness, you're hitting on 5s. And if your strength is less than twice, or I don't know how to say it, but you know what I mean. Like if your strength is a 4 and their toughness is an 8, you're pretty much hitting them on 6s. That's essentially how you want to think about it. So let's go ahead and roll. We need to get 4s or higher. Okay, none of the dice fell off. Very good. So we got Let's see how many 4s or higher we got. Well, that's not quite as good. We only got 4 wounds. Now we'll go to the saves. Now, because these weapons do not armor penetrate, the Death Company squad will get their normal save. So every save you see here is a 3... See, this is the armor save. This is a 3-up armor save. Armor penetration, see, if we had used a crack grenade, for example, on these guys, then it would reduce the save to a +4 on the Death Company squad, as you'll see here in just a second. So let's go over here to the Death Company. Perfect. So their save, it's a little hidden because that's the way I printed it, is a 3+. Again, there's no modifications. There's no armor penetration. So therefore, these 4 wounds are going to be saved on if I roll a 3 or higher. So we were able to get, we were able to get 3 successful saves. So that means one guy didn't make it. And now, cool thing is, you can remove a model from anywhere you want. So we're going to go ahead and remove this model. He's dead now. But we're going to keep it. Tricked you a bit. We're actually going to keep him laid down because it's important for later part of the game. Now, we go on to the assault phase. Now, these guys will not be making an assault because they don't want to, but in fact, I messed up a little bit. Sorry. We have more weapons to fire. We have a melt-a-gun, and we have a flamethrower, and a bolt pistol. That is a bolt pistol. It's not a plasma pistol. There's a difference. Okay, so let's go to let's do the flamethrower first, because I want to show off the way the flamethrower works, because I think this is going to not only be really helpful to my own personal army, but also I just like the where is it? Did I not write it on here? You can always add them. Let me just find the flamer stat, because you can certainly add flamethrowers and other stuff. 2 tactical squads is normal, because it's not perfectly set up here. Let me go to the back. I think it's to the back. Where's where I put it? Sorry. Flamer, yes. This is a flamer. Now, unfortunately, we're out of range. But I want to, for demonstration purposes, show you what it means. So, the type of assault, or the type is an assault D6, which has a strength of 1 and a damage of 1. How does that work? Well, you know how in rapid fire we could get an additional hit. I'm going to roll my D6, and I've received 2. That means I got 2 hits, and they automatically hit, so they become wounds. And then you roll like you would for a normal weapon with the flamer strength being a 1. Really? The flamer strength is a 1. So against the toughness 4, you would just need, you need 5s or higher to wound. So that'd be 1 wound. And then you're damaging with 1, so it's 1 damage. So then, of course, they would get a normal 3-up save. And they make it. So that's how flamers work. But again, keep in mind if I'd rolled a 6, it would be different. And it just kind of depends on that. So then we take a look at our melt-a-gun. Well, how does a melt-a-gun work? Melt-a-gun is an assault 1. So it is within 12 inches. So normally I didn't mess with models anyway because flamers for demonstration purposes. But for the melt-a-gun, it's assault 1. Strength 8. Damage is D6. So you only roll 1 die. You roll 1 die with the melt-a-gun. And you need to, with a strength of 8, which is double the armor of these guys, you need a 2 or up to hit with a melt-a-gun against a Space Marine. So we roll a 2, that's a hit. Armor penetration is -4. What does that mean? Well, essentially, the Space Marines have a toughness of 4, -4. So that will mean that they essentially don't get a save, but they do. That's the cool thing. They're going to save on a 6 or higher. Because what you do is you take, a 3, right? A 3 or higher, then subtract 4 from that in the reverse direction. So you go from 3, you go to 4, 5, 6. So it's a 6-up save. They save it. Now if they hadn't saved it, you would have rolled a D6 to see how much damage they do. And damage does not spill over. It's just to a single model because you only got one hit. You can only... So, like, if something has more than one hit point, like, say, the Dreadnought, who has a bunch of hit points, you would... it would take more damage and more wounds, but if you only have one wound, extra damage isn't going to do anything. There's that example. So, sorry, that's it for the shooting phase, because I'm not going to show the bolt gun because it's essentially the same thing. No, the bolt gun is pretty much the same thing as a bolter. The bolt pistol. Words. So then you go on to the assault phase. Not going to worry about that because they're not going to assault because that'd be kind of stupid. And then you go to morale fit check. So morale phase, which is at the end of the turn, is essentially where you look at these guys, and you keep track of how many losses, and you figure out, you do a leadership test. So, and I'm not going to cut for this. This is pretty straightforward. So you go to a unit's leadership. They have a leadership of 7. So that means you're going to take a die and you're going to roll this die. It's just 1 now, not 2. They've rolled a 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. So they've gotten underneath or equal to their leadership. Now, what if I had rolled a 6? Well, actually, it would have been impossible for the effect to happen. But essentially, if these guys had lost another unit and rolled a 6, if they had done this for demonstration purposes, you would have taken the 6 plus the 2 dead guys equaled 8. 8 is higher than 7 by 1. So therefore, 1 more loss would be taken on the unit. That's how morale works. Of course, that's not what happened, so we are down to just 1 loss. And now we move on to the next phase, which is their turn. Here's the cool thing: you can shoot your weapons while in the shooting phase of the assault phase. It's a little complicated. Essentially, let's take their movement, for example. I don't know what that is. These guys have jump packs. They can move a distance of 12. So let's go ahead and move them. They're 12. And of course, charging is like normal. So they can move their full 12 distance, but they're not going to because they're about to be engaged in combat. And the way it works for melee combat is you must be within an inch of your opponent. So they're going to charge. Of course, you roll 2 dice as always. 7. That is a 7. And then they charge, and then they get in. So they have a pile in of 7. So essentially, everyone is going to be able to get in. So all these guys just got engaged in combat. Now, these guys made the charge, so that means they fight first. And then it becomes simultaneous fighting. Why? Because there's no more initiative. Initiative has actually been removed from the game. So that's why charges are now incredibly important. So let's take a look at the Death Company Marine. Also, I didn't mention this earlier, but these guys have They Shall Know No Fear. As with every single Space Marine unit. If, for whatever reason, they failed their leadership test, when they had lost a trooper, they could have re-rolled the die, essentially. So if they had rolled a 6, they could have re-rolled it to make them pass their leadership, which is very important. But they're not fearless, which is incredibly different. So, how does that work? Well, the Death Company get 2 attacks, right? They get 2 attacks. Now, I didn't have them shoot into this because I wanted to. I didn't have them shoot before they moved in, specifically just because I wanted to show off the power of having pistols when you charge. So each of the Death Company, the 9 that remain, get 18 attacks. Although I'm very tempted to say that these guys could easily wipe them out anyway. So it could be 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Each of them getting 2 attacks with their chainsword. The chainsword is the strength of the user. If you can, user. The upper one. Chainsword, strength of user. The strength of these guys is 4. I'm going to roll these separately, like in 2 groups, because there's just a lot. So, we're looking for their to hit, so we're looking at their ballistic skill first. Or sorry, the weapon skill. That's the difference. Ballistic skill is shooting. Weapon skill is melee combat. So you have a weapon skill of 3 or higher. So we need to see if they got 3 or higher on these weapons. So we're going to take a look. And this is all of the actual hits that were made. And then we go to wounds. Wounding is the same as normal. You take these dice, you roll them. It's all very straightforward. So we're wounding on a 4 or higher. Okay, so we have this many hits, or wounds. These are the amount of wounds we got. So we've wounded this many times, and then because there's no armor penetration on the chainsword, we're actually just going to roll this many saves for this squad. So these guys need a 3-up armor save to save themselves. Only one did not make their armor save, so that means we're going to remove one guy, and he's going to fall down. Now these Marines get to fight back, and you do so back and forth with units, not models, units, until you run out, so you can have other groups engaged in a melee combat. So now these guys will hit back. So let's take a look at the weapon skill of a tactical Marine. The tactical Marine has a weapon skill of 3. Now, while they don't have any melee, they still only have 1 attack each, though. So each of these Marines, not including the chainsword, get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 8 attacks plus the 2 from the chainsword guy. Now keep in mind, this guy's dead. He's not part of the fight. There's not simultaneous turns anymore. If you take a loss, it dies. They won't be able to participate in combat. So you got 4, 6, 8, and 10. We're rolling 10 dice. Hitting on a 3 or higher. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 hits. Wounding on 4s or higher. So then we only got 2 wounds. Again, these 2 wounds will be saved by the Death Company for 3 or on a 3 or higher, and 1 loss. So 1 more Death Company Marine goes down. Even combat. Now, since that's the end of the assault phase, so then we'll do morale check. This tactical Marine squad lost 1 unit, and they have a leadership, if I remember correctly, I think it's 7. Leadership of 7, but the captain is still alive, so they actually have a leadership of 8. So then you roll 1 die. Got a 4 plus 1 loss. 5. Under the leadership, everything works out. Same thing for the Death Company. Now keep in mind, the Death Company have already technically lost 1 unit. So you keep that in mind when you roll your dice. So, for their leadership of 3 plus 2, it's 5, less than 7. They don't need to use to re-roll their morale test. So they're not good. No one else is going to die. Now we go on to the Marine player. Marine player would now roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 2 is 10. So once again, no. Now it comes to simultaneous hits. It doesn't matter what order you do it in. I'm pretty sure. Because they'll still get to, yes, that doesn't make sense. So, now the Death Company will make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attacks. Wait. Okay, sorry. I really want to make sure I do this correct. So essentially what happens is that it'd be this player's turn, the red player, and he would get to make a simultaneous attack against this guy. So, but it wouldn't be simultaneous because these guys would get killed first. Yes. Sorry. Without initiative, it makes things very confusing for me. So essentially, we're rolling 10 dice. Let's roll 10 dice. Let's just do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, let's just roll these 10 dice. And just try and resolve this combat. Hitting on 3 or higher. Kind of a bad roll. Not the end of the world. About half. But half is not necessarily what you want. Okay. Wounding on 4 or higher. 3 wounds. Making 3 up armor saves. 2 in fact go down. Something's wrong. I feel like the Death Company should be... Whatever. I feel like the Death Company should be doing more, but maybe something got nerfed or something. Okay. So, they took those losses, so now the Death Company are fighting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 6... Oh, you know, I think it is simultaneous, because then... Yeah, because I've seen that. Yes. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 1, 2, 6, 7. So, 7 times 2, that's 14. Eight, 9, 5, 5, it's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 14. And then we're hitting, of course, on 3 or higher because of their weapon skill. Because Chainsword is just kind of there to be able to be better at melee, but you get additional attack. That's essentially it. Oh, sorry. So then this is going to be wounding on 4 or higher. And then we got this many wounds. So then they need to make 3 up armor saves, the Tactical Marines. And they lost 1. So they'll take a loss there. And then we go to morale phase in the red player's turn. So they've currently lost 2 units. They have a leadership of 7. Rolled a 3. Passed. Death Company have lost a total of 4. So they need to roll pretty low here. 2, 6. They're still in combat. Now it's actually going to be the Death Company's turn. And here's the cool thing that I want to show you. But I want to go through it so you have a realistic understanding of maybe the effectiveness of it. So it's in the... Now we assume it's the shooting phase in the pertinence of this just assault, because you know there's movement and all that. Now we assume that this is the Death Company's turn. So they have bolt pistols. So the bolt pistols can actually be fired in the shooting phase of the Death Company player's turn before the assault happens. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 bolt pistols. And these bolt pistols will... Here, I can use the stats for anywhere. So, essentially we're going to be rolling 6 bolt pistols. And since it's the same, it's like getting an extra attack. So ballistic skill of 3. Oh, sorry. Ballistic skill of 3, so we're hitting on 3 or higher. Just 2. Wounding on 4. Nothing. So maybe not the most effective, but it works. So now the chainswords will hit first and kill, and then these guys will hit next. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, then times 2. Because they have chainswords. Okay. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Correct. Okay, now let's take a look at pull out those 3 ups. That's the amount of hits, and now for the amount of wounds. The wounds they got through, getting 4 or higher. Oh, 3. So Marines have to make 3 saves. Failed 2. 2 go down. Alright. And now the Marines hit back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going through the full combat just so you guys can see what it's actually like when I do combat movies. You know, and in my battle reports I'm like, oh yeah, this is what happened. We actually go through this process. So they got 2 hits because they're hitting on 3 are up. Getting 2 wounds. Death Company makes saves of armor, both saved. Morale check time. Death Company haven't lost anything. Marines have lost 4. They're going to roll a die. A roll of 5 plus 4, that's 9. This guy's leadership is only 8. he does have, you know, it would re-roll for the morale test. Rolls a 6. Not that good. So he actually loses 2 more Marines, which is very sad. Total of 4 losses. Now, you go back and forth, and essentially what's going to happen is eventually these Death Company will win because they're only rolling 5 dice. Well, the video's long enough as it is. I'll just show it. Finish off this combat for those of you who want to. All right, so you roll. Getting hitting on 3s, so that many hits. Wounding on 4s, getting that many wounds. Saving. Keep in mind this is within their turn. Getting 2 wounds. Saving on 4 or higher. 1 save. And that's it, because there's no armor save, so 1 guy will die. Or there's no invulnerable save for these guys. And then we go to these guys fighting phase. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 2. That's 10. So 5 and 10. Hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s. So that's how many wounds they got. The tactical squad needs to make this many 3-up armor. Failed 2. 2 go down. 2 go down. So then the Marines hit back. Or no, we already did that. Yes, so now for morale check. So the Marines have lost 1, 2, they've lost 8. So 8 plus 1, that's like the best roll they could have got. That's 9, that's 1 over, another Marine dies. These guys pile in. It's now Death Company shooting phase. They have total, oh yeah, Death Company make a morale test. We're just going to assume they pass it. Then bolters. So essentially that's how fighting goes. And that's going to be Marine. I'm going to take a look at other kind of stuff, but for now, that's kind of the general starting off. There are going to be several videos in this series. Hope you all enjoyed so far. I hope that made sense. I'm happy to go back over certain things if you want to. I'm still learning this myself, and then I'll see you guys next time. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Ball Predator. These guys are pretty amazing. I really love them. I'm going to show first what one Ball Predator can do. And then, of course, I'm going to get my other Ball Predator. You know what? Let's just do 2. Let's just do 2 Ball Predators so you can really see the maximum amount of firepower we have. This is also a way for me to kind of test out myself, kind of what I want to see in terms of, you know, how capable, you know, how good are these guys now? You know, are they better? Are they worse? I don't know. I'm experimenting. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. So, how does it work to fight vehicles now in this edition? So let's assume that for whatever reason, these guys were, you know, they were kind of back, but then they drove forward to get ready to open fire on these guys. So, say they move, and now we're into the shooting phase. So currently they are, I'm measuring from the base of the model, by the way. I'm measuring from the base, not the weapon. They're currently exactly 8 inches within both of these groups. Now they do have to choose, so we're gonna have this first one just target the Death Company, and then we're gonna have this one target the tactical squad. So these guys all defend it the same amount. I just kind of want this show maximum devastation possible. So how does it work? So let's come over to the Ball Predator. And you'll notice that they have a movement of 12, they have a ballistic skill of 3, and they have 3 attacks. So, how does that go about? Well, these 3 attacks, where are they coming from? Well, they're coming from the fact that they have the Flamestorm Cannon, and then the 2 heavy flamers that are on both of them. They're both identical. So let's do this first one, targeting the Death Company. So how does the Flamestorm Cannon work? Well, it's within range, and it's an Assault D6. So that means we roll a D6. 3. So then we have 3 hits automatically. Now we roll to see its wounds. So, because the Death Company have a toughness of 4, and the Flamestorm Cannon has a strength of 6, that means that it's going to be wounding on a 3 or higher. So let's go ahead and roll. We got 2 wounds. Now we have the 3 ups. Oh, and it's an armor penetration of 2, which means that these guys will now be saving on 5 or higher. 1 goes down. Now, that's just one of the cannons. Now we have 2 heavy flamers. So how does this work? Well, we go to the heavy flamer. It's within range. It's a heavy D8 with a strength of 5, armor penetration of 1. Oh, wait. These things do 2 damage. Okay, that actually doesn't matter for this. So when we got that successful wound, if this Marine had 2 wounds on it, it would go down, but because it only has 1 wound, it dies. Wounds do not spill over, just to be clear. So, again, this weapon automatically hits target, just like the first one. So this is a heavy D6. So because it moved, if it moved, it would be hitting at 1 less of its... It would be hitting at 1 less. That's interesting. Why its ballistic skill is 3+. Interesting. Oh, I see. So this is if. Okay, so if it is the ballistic skill, I'm learning as I go. Ballistic skill would matter if it were the heavy bolter and the twin assault cannon, because then that would affect whether or not we hit. But because we have flamethrowers on these, we're automatically hitting, so we can kind of ignore this ballistic skill. It's not really going to be relevant. So once again, we're going to roll the heavy D8. We're going to see how many hits it gets. 6. Good job. So now we're going to roll 6 dice. And keep in mind, this is just for one of them. So let's go ahead and roll for the other heavy flamer as well, since we have 2. 4. So we're going to get 4 more hits. These are automatic hits. So now we go to the wounds. Once again, now this one has a strength. These 2 have a strength of 5. So we're going to go ahead and be hitting them, the toughness 4 Marines, on 3s or higher. So 3 up roll. These guys are not a part of it. Let's just keep those away. And let's check and see how many wounds we got. That was a very successful attack. So now the armor penetration is -1, which means these Marines that used to have a 3-up save will now be getting a 4-up armor save. So let's roll and see what would they get. So let's see. So they needed a 4-up. So that means we have 4 that failed. So 4 will in fact go down, and you can lose any 4. It doesn't have to be, from that. And that's the devastation of 1 ball predator. Now let's go move on to the second one. Once again, we're going to roll for the D6. So how many automatic hits do we get? 6. I'm a great roller today. So we're getting 6 hits there. So let's go ahead and roll for the strength 6 armor penetration. So it's going to be 3 up. So we need a 3 or higher to get successful. Okay. And then, because this is our automatic wounds. These are the wounds. So this is going to be saved because it automatically hit. So we were rolling for wounds right there, which is how we came up to the number of being able to get 3 or higher. And now its armor penetration is -2 once again. These guys need a 5-up save. So these guys need 5 or higher. Okay, wow, they did amazing. So only 1 loss. So we're going to go ahead and lay that guy down. And now we move on to the 2 heavy flamers. So 6 and 2, a little worse, but not the end of the world. So then we're going to roll all of these. And we're going to, at strength 5, so they have toughness, so they have toughness 4, which means that there will be hitting on 3s. So let's roll. Ooh, not quite as good of a roll, but not bad either. sorry, not hitting, wounding. These are wounds. Wounding, and now these guys need to make 4 up saves because, again, of the heavy flamer being -1 armor penetration. So these 3 up saves will now become 4 up saves. So let's roll it. And 3 more will go down. Very, very tragic. Okay. Now that's going to be the end of their shooting phase. Now we do morale checks. So we know that the here, let me even go to the chart so you guys can see it for yourself. The tactical squad still has its leader, so it has an 8. So we're going to roll this die for its leadership test. 1. That is going to be all the losses that it ends up taking. Because of leadership 8, it's okay. Now we move on to the other squad, which took a bit more losses, the Death Company. So the Death Company got a leadership of 7, so we roll 1 die. So we've got 3 plus 5 losses. So they're going to lose an additional unit. And that is the total losses there. So that is actually really good. That really shows just how much, these 2 ball predators can do, which I would say is very effective. I'd say that goes quite well, actually. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to the Vindicator. Let's see how the Vindicator goes about an average attack. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Vindicator. Once again, it has a movement of 10. This is based on its health, of course. So this one is where the ballistic skill will in fact actually matter. Why? Because there's nothing that says it automatically hits. So what do we have equipped onto our Vindicators? We have Demolisher cannons. We do not currently have Hunter-Killer missiles equipped, so we're going to ignore that. But we will, for the sake and purposes of this, assume that they have Stormbolters. Although I will do the cannons first in their completeness before I use the Stormbolters. So the way it works now, since there's no templates, right? This was the guy that you use to take out the swarms of dudes. How does that work if there's no templates? Well, they automatically are going to have a target. There's no worry about scatter. So instead you're checking to see how many hits they get. So let's see what the Demolisher Cannon has. It has a range of 24, and it's a heavy D3. So what it means is, so this guy is going to be rolling to see if it hits. But here's the thing. Here's the cool thing. Abilities. When attacking units with 5 or more models, change this weapon's type to heavy D6. That means we roll a D6 instead of a D3 to see how many hits we will get to roll on it, essentially. Because instead of the flamer getting automatic hits, we have to roll this. So this is rolling to see how many hits we get. So we're going to have this guy target the front group, and this guy target the back group. So this one, which is targeting these ones, we're going to go one at a time, is going to roll his D6 because he's attacking a group with more than 5 models. 5. So now we have to roll for 5 hits. We are hitting with strength 10 against it's double the the toughness of 4. So we're going to in fact have we're going to be double, so it'll be 2 plus for hits. 2 pluses. Oh, we did get 2 ones. That's really unlucky. So this is how many hits it is. So now for wounds, now we have an armor penetration of 3. All right. So that means we look at the strength again. Strength, interesting. Hold on, didn't I just roll for wounds? Oh, damage, right, damage. So, no, that's just if they get through. Let me think. I know I'm still recording. I'm just trying to figure out. We're figuring it out together, guys. We're figuring it out together. So we have a type of D3. That's a heavy. So we roll hit. Oh, okay. So we have this many hits. Now we do it again to wound. I think that's right. Because we're using... Oh wait, we're using the ballistic skill. We're using the... Okay, I did that a little wrong. So we rolled a 5, right? I'm backing up. We're just going to assume we're trying to hit right now. We're backing up. To make this, I want to do this correctly. So we have a heavy type D6. We rolled a 5. We have 5 dice. In order to hit, we need to get a 3 or higher. So let's go ahead and roll for that. Here we go. This makes more sense. Okay. We have this many hits. Now to wound. To wound, we need a 2+ because we have a strength of 10 against toughness of 4, which is double or greater. So we're hitting on 2+ for wounds. This is how many wounds it takes. It takes 4 wounds. Now, because again, the armor penetration is -3, and these guys normally have a 3-up armor save, they're going to be making t-shirt saves of 6 or higher. So let's go ahead and roll 6 ups for these guys. No 6 ups, so that means 4 guys are immediately killed. So that's... Oh no, I accidentally broke it. I will get glue, don't worry. Guys break all the time. It's kind of a part, something you have to accept in Warhammer. Sorry. So 4 guys did fall. Alright, let's do the second one for the sake of repetition. So, now that I understand this a little better, since we're hitting a group of 4 more models, we're going to roll our D6. We got a 6. My rolling is actually on point. So now we go ahead and roll these many hits. We're trying to hit on a 3 or higher. Okay, we got this many hits. Wounding on 2s. Okay, we got this many wounds, and the armor penetration again, -3. They have 6-up save, and no 6s, so 3 will go down, and then it will be the storm bolters. Let's go ahead and use those storm bolters. So they have a rapid fire of 2. We're definitely within less than. We're definitely at 12 on the range. We're within range. So we're gonna go ahead and go to the hits. It hits on, ballistic skill of 3. So we have a total of rapid fire 2, so 4 dice. It's 4 dice for 1 storm bolter now. That's just the new way things are. Hitting on 3s or higher because of our ballistic skill. We get 3 hits. Again, this is for the first group. Wounding with armor penetration of 0. Strength 4 to toughness 4. We need 4s or higher. We got 2 4s. Now these guys get their 3-up save. And they save it. So now for the second one, once again, rolling 4 dice onto the back ranks. I'm gonna roll. We need 3 or up. All will hit. All will hit. So then we have 4 to 4. So we need 4s to wound. Okay, we got 2 wounds. Now they're making 3-up saves because there's no armor penetration. And 1 will go down. So then you do morale as previously understood, but for the sake of it, let's just take a look. So let's go ahead and roll for this one. For the back row, they got a 2 plus 4 dead, which is going to equate to 6, which is less than the 8 leadership. So let's go to these guys. They have a 7 leadership. They lost 4. Let's roll. Rolled a 4, lost 4, leadership of 7. So 1 more guy will fall. And that will be that's the devastation power of these guys, which is pretty darn good. So now we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the rhinos, and I'm gonna glue that guy. Don't worry, I'll get him glued.